Hello! I am Joni De Winter.
And I'm Susan Grant.
And we're here to share our fun and failures
on our journey from being scared to doing it anyway.
For example, starting a podcast when you have no idea how to do a podcast or who to look at. Shall we look at each other?
Yes, we could do that.
Oh, that's nice. We don't have a lot of eye contact normally.
No.
Okay.
No. Well, this might get a little bit strange though, actually. Cause...
It's like counselling.
Yeah. We could both do
but
that.
cheaper.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so we thought we would just give it a go with starting a podcast.
We've got all the equipment. We've got a microphone. We've got a ring light.
Yeah.
We've got, if you are watching this, we have homemade some Belle Street mugs just now, but we'll just get some printed because when this podcast goes down a storm, everyone will want a Belle Street mug.
Well, we love merchandise, don't we? We love merchandise.
We're the only ones who buy it.
Yeah. So we thought that we'd put some episodes together to talk about our process as mainly being a duo singing.
You're really struggling with the eye contact, aren't you?
Group. Group. We're not a group, are we? No, we're a duo, a singing duo events band.
Yes, and we just feel like we wish, I think, that something else had been around when we were starting out. So we had like loads of questions. It's funny how vintage we sound, like when we were starting out. But we had so many questions, and it was a long time ago. It was 6 years ago, so
yeah. And through our process we have had to really struggle and search for people or to find information of how to do certain things, but with that comes learning how to do it yourself, with a lot of things as well, and learning how to ask for help and advice from people who do know what they're doing.
When do we learn that? Yeah. And also one of our kind of missions of this podcast is we really strongly believe in what did we say? It was from our journey from being scared to doing it anyway, because we scare ourselves quite a lot in lots of ways, but with Belle Street we do push ourselves out a lot, and then because we're together, we do it together, we kind of find the courage to do it anyway. And can't I think it'd be a great way to encourage people to just
it's very easy not to start something. Yes. Especially with a creative project, it's very, very easy not to do it because you're putting yourself out there and you're putting all your creativity, you're vulnerable. If you're knocked down, it hurts. And for us being the two of us, we have to show up. We have to be accountable for the other one.
Yeah. Otherwise you let the other one down and that's the end of that. No, but it's easy to just think you're going to do something, have that idea, think that would be so cool, and then never really do it. And I think that's something we've learned. But I think that might be a good time to say to anybody who doesn't know who we are, kind of who we are and how we decided to start.
So we met 6 years ago?
We did. In a cabaret.
A cabaret, not cabaret.
Not in cabaret. That would have been amazing.
That would have been. But the cabaret was fun in our local art centre. And there were 3 of us that thought we would have a go at singing together. Well,
we were put together, weren't we? We were put together in a 3, and then you and I were put together in a duo as well. And the first song we ever sang together as a duo was In His Eyes.
Yeah, from Jekyll and Hyde, the musical.
Which I would still love to star in.
Yes. Okay.
I just like to put that out there.
Okay.
I think I'm too old to be a prostitute now. Actually, no, I don't think you're ever too old to be a prostitute.
For anyone who doesn't know, the character in the show, Jekyll and Hyde, is a prostitute. That's that small link there.
Yeah, okay. Context.
Just some sort of random job proposal.
Yes. But anyway, we sang as a trio and we also sang as a duo in that cabaret, which kind of foreshadowed the next few years really. But we were just singing, and we all got on really well, and our voices blended really well together, and someone suggested that
that we should do a gig, that we should give it a go. So we put a set together and went out to a local pub. Someone booked us.
Well, we were too scared, weren't we? I think we needed some affirmation to know that we would be good enough to do this professionally.
Well, in front of people. So we kind of thought, well, let's just aim for one date, and we'll use a test audience of friends and family who won't say anything mean. Yes.
Fingers crossed. And so we did. I think we've changed, because we were really looking for a strong bit of affirmation from people to say, yes, yes, you can do this, which, I think shows we've come a long way from needing to know that people think we're good. Actually, I still need to know.
Well, no one's walked out yet.
But I remember someone responding to our invitation. They were saying they weren't going to come, but I do remember them saying, you three don't need to try out if you're good enough. You are all good enough. But we did not. None of us really were in that mindset of believing that at the time. And we should have, but it was part of our journey, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we did this it was an awkward gig.
Yes.
But we rehearsed for a good kind of 5 months for it, really, didn't we? And we but that's when we built our brand, and we really talked about what we wanted to be called, and how we wanted to look. And from the beginning, I think we all thought we want to be a product rather than just like 3 people who sing together. So I think one of the things that we got right with Belle Street from the very beginning was the branding.
Yes. Yeah, that took a long time to really finalise. And yeah, the gig was awkward because we felt awkward.
We did.
And we sounded lovely, but we felt awkward.
And we hadn't really thought about the fact that people would just be staring at us rather than milling around and talking. Because I guess people wanted to give us that attention, and that was them being kind, but it was just silence.
Yeah.
And then we're there singing a very random selection of songs.
And we're also all used to being characters. We're used to musical theatre and plays. So to stand up on a stage in a piece of theatre that you've prepared and you're with other people and you're a character is very different.
Yeah.
Than standing up, being you, singing at people, feeling awkward.
Yes, and we all had our little awkward things we did. I mean, I've only really just got up staring at Susan when I sing. Someone said to me at the time, "Oh, when you're nervous, you look at Susan." So I spent the first 2 years of us gigging together just like constantly grinning at Susan. I still do it, but that's because I like her. But I liked you then. But you were like, I just would look over at you like...
It's comfort. It's comfort, isn't it?
Yeah.
Since then, we both noticed what we do with our hands.
Yes.
Our eyes. When
yes.
Things are a little bit... when we're a bit unsure.
Yeah, but that was very kind of people to come. I mean, they got a free gig, but it was kind of people to come and indulge our need for approval, and that kind of gave us the confidence. And then we did our first show at Shaftesbury Fringe, and then kind of went on from there until lockdown, which kind of changed everything, I would say.
Yeah. Well, it changed everything for everyone, didn't it?
Yeah.
All across everywhere, and different focuses, different priorities, different mindset for all of us. What we did decide was we wanted to keep working through lockdown, and for different reasons we decided, and availability as well, we decided to carry on as just the two of us whilst we were all finding our new focus,
our new normal.
Lockdown phrasing. So we ended up going and singing in people's gardens.
Yeah, we did. We would practice kind of outside, and this was when you were allowed to kind of.
Yeah, you were allowed 6 people.
Yeah, and so we basically were ready to go. We got ourselves a portable speaker that didn't need any power, which meant we could just rock up in people's gardens as a surprise.
We were invited, honestly.
We were invited,
Yes.
mostly. And we could just sing. And I think it was just fortunate that we kind of were so desperate to be creative that we were ready to go.
Yeah.
That meant that while people were still having small gatherings and so many big parties have been cancelled, and we were just ready to go with a set and keen to kind of sing in a hedge, or we were sang behind hedge, in gravel, flower beds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Literally, we did a whole gig behind a bush, didn't we? It was so funny.
You could just hear our voices over the top.
Yeah, we might as well have just pre-recorded that gig, but it was great because we were ready to go, and that meant that when big events began to open up again, we'd kind of really cemented our vibe as a duo.
Yeah.
So that was really useful for us, and I'm really glad we did that, because I think if we'd have stopped, this is a running theme for us, but I think if we'd have stopped, we'd have just stopped.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and so we carried on, and then once we were allowed out again, inside to sing.
Yeah. It was bliss.
It was.
when you could sing inside. Where was our first inside gig?
I was just thinking that, and I can't remember.
No, obviously made a big impression on us.
I can't even remember when.
I think it was New Year's Eve.
Okay.
Because we were open, shut, open, shut, open, shut.
In Eastleigh.
And we did, we literally the week before, we didn't know if there was going to be another lockdown. And the government were like hanging on, forwards, backwards. So we were sort of tentatively rehearsing, but also like, do we need to learn these songs if there's no gig? But I remember that as a significant gig out of lockdown. And people were a bit nervous about coming out and stuff. And you definitely had like two camps of people who would come to outdoor gigs, and then people who would not really be very keen on being inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of how we kind of cemented ourselves as a kind of duo and became who we are as Belle Street now.
Yes.
And it's when we learned a lot about ourselves. It's when we started writing parodies, and we were talking about what is surprising about how we've become. And I was saying that one of the things that surprises me is that we've decided now we're funny. I never thought when we started that we would be so utterly ridiculous at this point in our lives.
Well, it's grown. The ridiculousness.
It started from just pretending we were in a lounge and taking the mickey out of the fact of how very single I was at the time.
Yeah.
And it's just grown into more and more self-depreciation for both of us since then.
Yeah. So since then, as well as gigging and going further afield as the events band, we also decided to write a musical for our creative side.
We did.
Which actually I think is probably one of the most ridiculous things people have seen, and they come back and see it again.
Yes.
We're filming a trailer for it this weekend so that we can let people know a little bit about what it's about. And just looking back at some of the footage,
Well, the lovely videographer, Alex, from Playmotion Productions, Playmotion somethings. He films really good stuff. Said I've never met people who don't care about how stupid they look.
Yeah.
And I guess that has been the lesson with Hugh. One of the biggest things we've learned.
That's the musical, Hugh the musical.
Hugh the musical, yes. Is how to let go of looking good. Not that we did particularly anyway, but trying to. Initially, when we started Belle Street, I remember our first photo shoot.
Yeah.
We got a really brilliant photographer, local photographer called Bella West. She did our photo shoot for us, and we really were like, we want to be classy. We want to be classy, and we just want to be really like sophisticated. And so we had our image at times. We always had a red lip and black, and And we really thought it was great because we were really testing out what we wanted our product to be, but honestly the photos are hilarious.
We look petrified.
We're not classy or sophisticated, and we're not Vogue models, so we're just looking really, really just scared. The photos are beautiful, but our faces are not. They are, but you know, it just wasn't right. And I think we were all just like, when we saw them, like, oh, that shouldn't be our look. And it's taken a while to get to the point where we have decided to just let people. We have a lot of fun doing Belle Street, and a lot of fun writing together and doing whatever we're doing together to do with Belle Street. There's a lot of laughing, and I think that has become part of our brand now. And I'm glad. It's a relief that we don't have to try and be like. I mean, don't get us wrong. We are a little bit sophisticated. We like a nice glass of fizz, but we also like a mini pork pie.
We do love a mini pork pie.
Yeah.
We found that out last year. Yeah.
We did think that might be what our it wouldn't be an autobiography, would it? The story of Belle Street, anyway, when we write the book, would be called Prosecco and Mince Pies. We could call the
pork pies.
Mince pies.
Prosecco and pork pies.
I don't even know. Yeah.
Mm.
That could be what the podcast is called.
Prosecco and pork pies.
Mm. Does that mean we have to eat Prosecco and pork pies every time, though?
Possibly.
We do.
Be huge.
It is our rehearsal food, though, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
So that has kind of brought us to where we are now, which is, we are still an events band, but we kind of almost see that as a part of what we do rather than everything that we do. And it's definitely one of our goals to have kind of an umbrella of Belle Street. We want umbrellas of Belle Street, don't we? But
same with the merchandise.
Yes, but also the umbrella of Belle Street with the different factions underneath, because we both get bored quite easily. And if we were still just doing events, singing a very similar set, or even with new songs every time, turning up being the same product for events, I think we'd have both given up by now.
But also being creative with writing and being brave enough to be this ridiculous, have a ridiculous comedy vibe with the musical does help our Belle Street performance as well.
Yeah, it's helped us develop who we are,
because
each thing we do kind of gives a thumbs up to the other thing, really, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
But and this podcast is hopefully going to be another little portion under the umbrella, depending how it goes, you know.
Well, yeah,
as long as we get some mugs out of it.
Mugs, yep. And well, it means that we can just talk about what we've done and remember, instead of all my many notebooks. Just, you know.
Exactly, it's a great way for us for documenting like how we've done things, but also it's a bit like therapy, because neither of us can afford it. We might as well talk through the things, and if you want to listen, you can. But we do hope to be able to encourage people to believe in themselves a little bit, because what we have definitely learned is if you do something, people will come see it.
They will, and people are very supportive. I mean, I know there's lots of people that quite possibly aren't with things, but actually if you've got a passion and you've got an idea and you're willing to put yourself on the line to share it, or at least start it, or even find someone that you can just say, right, I want this out there. There are people that will help. We are amazed constantly how many wonderful people there are that have helped us, supported us, whether it's emotionally, physically, kept us up there. But the different musicians, the different technicians, the different
audiences, people coming to actually
accountants,
sit through our stuff.
Yeah,
it is amazing. But I think when people see something exciting, they want to be involved.
Yeah,
and we're very grateful for that. So it has been so exciting working with other people, and one of our kind of missions this year is to network a bit more, isn't it, and just be involved with what other people are doing and to just learn from them, and hopefully be able to help people out in return.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think it took us a while to have to think that maybe we might have something to offer in terms of advice, but we have been doing this for a little while now, and I think we've been through some stuff and we have done a lot and achieved a lot, and I think that's something we can talk about.
Well, absolutely. It's about showing up and keeping going, isn't it? No matter what, somehow. And I mean, we've had gigs that have been interesting, that we've smiled and got through. We've had shows that have been interesting, we've smiled and got through, and we've had really unexpected, brilliant experiences that were a surprise to us, so
it's been a good journey. So we are hoping in this podcast that you can kind of come in while you're driving somewhere or doing a job you don't want to do. Like, I always listen to a podcast while I'm cleaning. I've done a lot more cleaning since I discovered podcasts. And just, maybe be inspired, or maybe just get to know us a little bit better. And we hope to be able to hear the kind of thing that you would like to hear from us and any questions you might have. But we're hoping also to get some people that we've worked with in for a chat.
Yes.
Because we've met some amazing people, and as Susan was saying, people who've really helped us out, and people who have a lot of great advice, and people that we have gone to for advice or learnt lessons with.
Yes.
That's been really cool. And so we're hoping to involve them and just keep going. Just to keep going.
But if you've got something that is sitting with you, or that you've had a script or a song or a piece of artwork that you've had sat under a desk or something, get it out and show someone.
Get out something from under the desk. Shall we rethink that?
Only you. Only you. Now anything I'm going to say.
Sorry. So thank you for listening to our very first podcast.
Yes.
We are very grateful, and we hope that it will keep going. Well, just that.
Well, after we've edited it.
It might be about 10 minutes
long.
long.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the questions there is why listen. Have we covered that?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless you have another reason to add people listening.
No.
But we have got notes, that's why we keep looking off into the distance, if you can see this recorded. But also we are scared of the intensive eye contact, I think. So yes, thank you for listening. Please do listen in for the next episode, which we're hoping will be out the week after this one.
Yes, absolutely.
What's it called? Nobody knows yet.
No.
Well, thank you so much for actually listening all the way to the end of this podcast.
Yes.
We're grateful. And if there is something that you are feeling apprehensive about doing, or I know I'm just thinking about getting it out under the desk. Thank you so much for listening, all the way to the end of our podcast.
Yes. We do hope you'll join us again. And if there is something that you need to do and you're feeling inspired by, then our advice would be just do it anyway. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.